Submarines are one of the most important assets to a navy. They are the prime component of sinking enemy shipping and supplies. They can conduct missions all over the globe in secrecy, and they can also be used to transport supplies or troops and participate in rescue missions. All of the top 10 most successful U.S. submarines during the Second World War served in the Pacific. The most successful of these was the USS Tang, which recorded 116,454 total tonnage sunk, which is over 16,000 tons more than the second place USS Flasher. The contract to build the USS Tang was awarded to Mare Island Naval Shipyard only 8 days after Pearl Harbor on December 15, 1941. Following along with many other submarines being named after fish, the submarine was named the USS Tang, after the tang, a type of surgeonfish. The keel of the USS Tang would be laid down on January 15, 1943, and was launched on August 17th. The USS Tang would finally be commissioned on October 15, 1943, with Lieutenant Commander Richard O'Kane as her commander. The Tang was a Bilao-class diesel-electric submarine. She had a displacement of 1,490 tons while surfaced and 2,040 tons while submerged. Her length was 311 feet 10 inches with a beam of 27 feet 4 inches and a draft of 16 feet 10 inches maximum. She could travel at 20.25 knots or 23.3 miles per hour on the surface and 8.75 knots or 10.07 miles per hour while submerged. With a range of 11,000 nautical miles or 13,000 miles, an endurance of 48 hours at 2 knots or 2.3 miles per hour submerged, the USS Tang was typically on 75-day-long patrols. The USS Tang had a test depth of 400 feet or 120 meters. She had a complement of 10 officers and 68 enlisted men. Her armament consisted of 6 forward and 4 aft 533 millimeter torpedo tubes, 24 torpedoes, a 5-inch 25 caliber deck gun, a Bofors 40 millimeter gun, and a Oerlikon 20 millimeter cannon. After completing fitting out at Mare Island, the Tang went to San Diego for 18 days of training before sailing to Pearl Harbor. On January 8, 1944, she arrived at Pearl Harbor to then complete 2 more weeks of exercises before heading into combat. Finally, on January 22, 1944, the USS Tang departed from Pearl Harbor to begin her first war patrol, which was to be in the area of the Caroline Islands and Mariana Islands. On the morning of February 17th, she sighted her first convoy, which consisted of 2 freighters, 5 smaller ships, and an escort. As the Tang tracked the convoy and prepared to attack, an escort suddenly appeared 7,000 yards or 6,400 meters away and closing fast. The Tang then dived and received 5 depth charges before the escort left. The Tang, on hit, returned to periscope depth to resume her attack. She then fired a spread of 4 torpedoes at the 6,800-ton freighter Gaioten Maru at a range of 1,500 yards or 1,400 meters. The freighter was hit by 3 of the torpedoes and sank. The Tang then ran deep and exited the area. On the night of February 22nd, the Tang made a surface attack on a convoy of 3 cargo ships and 2 escorts. At the surface, she fired a spread of 4 torpedoes at the 3,600-ton freighter Fukumayo Maru. All torpedoes hit and the ship disintegrated. The next morning, the Tang approached the convoy again. She fired 4 torpedoes at the 6,800-ton cargo man Yamashimo Maru, after her escort had moved from its covering position on the port bow. 3 torpedoes struck home and the Yamashimo Maru sunk. On the morning of February 24th, Tang spotted a tanker, freighter, and a destroyer. Heavy rain hampered any possible attack until nighttime. After nightfall, she returned and launched 4 torpedoes, 3 of which hit and sank the Tatsutaki Maru-class freighter. The remaining 2 ships began firing in all directions as the Tang submerged and began evasive actions. Tang shadowed the enemy ships until the morning, where she then closed to within 500 yards or 460 meters of the enemy tanker. At this distance, it was barely far enough for torpedoes to be able to arm. Torpedoes were then launched and struck home on the Aikizen Maru. Additional lookouts were placed on her deck, and when the torpedoes struck, they were hurled into the air with other debris. She would sink in 4 minutes. Tang went deep and began evading a depth charge attack. During the depth charge evasions, a leak developed in the forward torpedo room, and Tang exceeded her depth gauge maximum reading of 612 feet. Fortunately, the crew were able to regain control and return to the surface. On the evening of February 26th, Tang spotted a convoy of a freighter, transport, and 4 escorts. The transport was wildly zigzagging, and Tang fired her last 4 torpedoes at it. Believing she missed and out of torpedoes, she headed towards Midway for refit. The Joint Army-Navy Assessment Committee, or JANAC, would credit her with sinking the 1794-ton cargo ship Choko Maru. On her first patrol, Tang had scored 16 hits from her fired 24 torpedoes. On March 16th, Tang's second patrol began. This time she would be headed to the waters around Palau Islands, to Davao Gulf, and to the approaches to Truk. Although she would make 5 surface contacts, she did not have the chance to attack. Tang was then assigned to lifeguard duty near Truk and would go on to rescue 22 downed airmen. Tang's third war patrol would begin on June 8th as she departed Pearl Harbor. She would go to stalk enemy shipping in the East China Sea and the Yellow Sea areas. On June 24th, southwest of Kagoshima, she contacted a convoy of 6 large ships guarded by 16 escorts. She closed for a surface